For months, I made sure we never went hungry. Until I did. That's when I learned something far worse than being broke, being invisible when you are. Every week, like clockwork, the fridge was full because of me. Eggs, milk, bread, greens, leftovers in labeled containers. It was not some chore I hated, it just felt right. Like this quiet way of saying, I got you. Without needing to say anything at all. I started doing it back in college, when I first moved into a place with roommates. Most of them were broke, eating instant noodles and gas station snacks. I had a part-time gig unloading trucks at a warehouse and a little extra from working weekends at the campus library. Not a fortune, but enough to help. At first, it was small stuff. A pack of bananas, a loaf of bread, maybe a frozen pizza or two when I saw someone having a rough day. No one asked. No one kept track. But they noticed. People smiled more when they opened the fridge. One of my roommates called it fridge magic. It just grew from there. Years passed, different places, different people. Friends, girlfriends, cousins, co-workers crashing for a few weeks that turned into months. The one constant? That fridge was never empty. It was never really about the food. It was about peace. About not having to stress when you were hungry. I knew what that kind of stress felt like. My dad used to keep count of every slice of bread, every splash of milk. You used one egg too many. He would chew you out for robbing the family. I swore I would never be like that. So I gave. Quietly. Consistently. Because I knew what it meant to not worry about basics. And because, deep down, I wanted to be the kind of man I never got to see growing up. It became a rhythm. Every Sunday morning, I would hit the store. Coupons in one hand, reusable bags in the other. Stock the shelves. Fill the fruit bowl. Wipe down the fridge trays. It was never about being praised. It was about feeling useful. Nobody ever offered to split the cost, but that never bothered me. I figured they had their own struggles. I did not do it for thank yous. But then one month, something changed. I got sick. Missed a few days of work. Then my hours got cut. Bills started to pile. I stretched what I had, but eventually, it ran out. I remember that Sunday clearly. I stood in the middle of the grocery store with an empty cart and $23 in my checking account. I stared at a pack of eggs for a long time, like it might offer me advice. In the end, I walked out with nothing. Not even a banana. That week, the fridge stayed empty. No milk. No leftovers. No fridge magic. And I waited. I waited for someone to say something. For anyone to notice. But they did not. And that was when the silence started to feel louder than anything I had ever heard. That first week, I thought maybe they were just distracted. Busy. Maybe work was brutal or someone was going through something and did not want to talk about it. I even made excuses for them. They probably think I went out of town. They figure I just forgot. But deep down, I was hoping for something small. A casual, hey, everything good? Or even just a loaf of bread that I did not buy. Something that said, we noticed. Instead, the fridge door stayed closed. And when it did open, I would hear it from my room. This pause, like they were surprised nothing was there. But they never asked why. They just shut it and moved on. By the third day, I started listening harder, waiting for a knock on my door. Maybe someone would joke, dude, did the fridge die? And I would say something like, nah, just broke this week. Tight budget. Maybe that would open the door to something real. Instead, I got silence. Worse than that, I got indifference. They kept eating out. DoorDash bags piling near the trash. One of them even posted a story, a shot of their dinner, captioned, tired of cooking. Funny, no one had cooked anything in weeks. It was a weird feeling, like I had vanished and they just adjusted. No one even texted me. And this was not a mansion. We all lived in a tight 2-bedroom apartment, where you could hear someone sneeze from the next room. I kept checking the fridge, like a reflex, like maybe something would magically appear. But all I found was a bottle of mustard, half a can of flat soda, and a takeout box with someone's name scribbled on the lid like a warning. I started rationing instant oatmeal, got creative with rice and butter, drank tap water, and told myself I was just cutting back. But I will be honest, what hit harder than the hunger was the realization. All those times I thought I was helping, maybe I was just filling a role. A silent one. Invisible. Expected. I remember lying in bed, listening to laughter from the living room. Someone cracked a joke. Someone else opened a soda. The TV flicked on. No one knocked. No one said, hey, you good? And the longer that silence stretched, the more it started to twist inside me. Because it was not just about groceries anymore. It was about being seen. And I was starting to realize just how invisible I had become. I hit my lowest point that Thursday. I had gone 2 days without eating anything real. Just water and a stale granola bar I found at the bottom of my backpack. My head throbbed, and my stomach was doing that slow, hollow ache it only does when there is just nothing left in the tank. I sat at the kitchen table around midnight. Just me and the dim light above the stove. The fridge was still humming, like a joke only I could hear. I opened it again. Still empty. That mustard? I almost spooned it straight just to feel something. I closed the door and stood there for a long time. Not thinking, not feeling, just standing. Then I heard footsteps. It was Trevor, one of my roommates. He walked in half awake, scratched his chest, opened the fridge, and stared. I froze, thinking this was it. This was the moment. He would turn, see me standing there pale as hell, and say something. Anything. Instead, he muttered, "Man, we got nothing," and then turned around and walked right back to his room. That was it. No, hey, you okay? No, want to split something? Not even a glance. Just a comment about like we were still sharing something. Like he did not realize that I was the reason there ever was a we in the first place. I stood there, fingers clenched on the fridge handle, and it hit me, hard, that this was not just some blip. This was a pattern. I had been the one making sure they never felt this feeling. This emptiness. I had shielded them from it for months, maybe years, without ever asking for a damn thing in return. And now that I needed what I had always given, nothing, not even acknowledgement. It felt like something had split open inside me. Like this invisible line between me and them had always been there, and I had finally tripped over it. Not because I changed, but because I stopped giving. That was the rule, wasn't it? Keep giving, and you are part of the group. Stop, and you disappear. I went back to my room, locked the door, and sat on the edge of my bed with that awful taste in my mouth. Not from hunger, but from bitterness. A kind I had never really tasted before. It was not anger. Not yet. But it was getting close. That Friday, I found coins under the couch cushions. I was not proud of it. But pride takes a back seat when your hands are shaking from low blood sugar and your head feels like it is floating above your body. I counted them like a kid saving for candy. $4.60, mostly in nickels and pennies. I walked to the corner store with that handful like it was treasure. Picked up a box of plain pasta and a generic can of tomato sauce. I skipped the bag and carried it home like it was something sacred. Back in the kitchen, I cooked with this weird mix of shame and rage. Every clank of the pot felt too loud, too real. I wanted them to hear. I wanted someone to walk in and say, "Whoa, you cooking? Need help?" But no one did. I ate half the pot and saved the rest. Sat at the table alone, chewing slow. Not because I wanted to savor it, because I was scared of running out again. That night, something broke loose in me. I got up, walked over to the fridge, and stared at the door for a long time. Then I grabbed one of the dry erase markers we kept nearby, the one we used for grocery lists, back when I was still buying groceries, and I wrote something across the top. If the fridge is empty, it is because I am broke. No smiley face. No passive wording. Just the truth. I left it there and went to bed. The next morning, the message was gone. Wiped clean. No note. No reply. Not even a passive-aggressive joke. Just erased like it never existed. And that, somehow, was worse than if they had mocked me. It meant they had seen it and decided it did not matter. I did not say a word that day. Neither did they. We moved around each other like strangers in a shared hallway, nodding politely, avoiding eye contact. The silence had grown legs. It was walking around with us now. That night, I laid in bed and stared at the ceiling, thinking about all the ways I had tried to be the good one, the dependable one, the quiet provider. I had filled the fridge not just with food, but with comfort, with care, with a sense of home. And they had eaten it all. Now that it was gone, so was I? I realized something, lying there in the dark. I had always thought generosity meant connection. But sometimes, it just makes you easier to forget. By Sunday, I stopped hoping. Something inside me had gone numb. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just done. I woke up early and sat on the edge of my bed staring at the floor, like maybe it held answers I had missed. I used to start Sundays with a grocery run. It was my ritual. My routine. This time, I grabbed a trash bag instead. Not for the fridge. For my stuff. I started small. Pulled clothes I never wore out of the closet. Rolled up the blanket I kept on the couch. My blanket, the one everyone used but never folded back. tossed in my mugs from the kitchen, my charger, the good scissors no one ever returned. It was not everything. Just enough. The essentials. The personal things. The things no one ever noticed I owned, until they went missing. I did not tell anyone. I did not stomp or yell or throw a fit. I just packed slow, quiet, and calm, like a ghost wrapping up loose ends before leaving for good. It was almost peaceful until I opened the fridge one last time. That mustard was still there. That same half-used bottle, sitting like some pathetic monument to everything I had given. I almost laughed. Then I did. Just a dry, hollow laugh that surprised even me. That was when I heard it, movement behind me. Trevor stood in the doorway rubbing sleep from his eyes, shirtless, yawning. "Yo," he said, like nothing was weird. I gave him a nod and kept packing my tote bag. He opened the fridge, stood there for 3 seconds, then groaned. "Dude, seriously? Still no food?" I turned, slow and calm, and looked right at him. "You ever wonder why?" He blinked. "Huh." I did not explain. I did not owe him one. I just picked up my bag, walked past him, and said, "You will figure it out." That was it. No speech. No confrontation. Just a clean exit. I stepped outside and felt the air hit different. Cool, crisp, like it knew I was done carrying weight that was never mine to carry. I did not go far that day. Just to a friend's place across town who owed me a favor. I crashed on his couch, ate a sandwich he made without asking, and felt more seen in that moment than I had in the last 6 months. I kept my phone off that night. And in the quiet, something started forming inside me, not bitterness. Something colder, clearer, not revenge, just resolve. Because the truth was sinking in fast. When you stop feeding people, you find out real quick who was sitting at your table for you. And who was just there for the meal. 3 days passed. Not a text. Not a missed call. Not even a lazy "hey, you around" from the group chat we used to throw dumb memes into. The kind of silence that used to feel like peace now sounded like proof. Proof that I was only noticed when I gave. I finally turned my phone on that Wednesday. Not because I missed them, but because I wanted to see how long it would take. It had been long enough. A few random notifications. Trevor tagged me in a meme with a pizza joke and wrote, "Where you at, bro?" No mention of the fridge. No "hey, are you okay?" Just a half-hearted attempt to pull me back in like I had not already packed myself out of their lives. And then there was Nick, my other roommate. The guy who once borrowed my card to buy groceries because his check was late. He sent one line. "Hey man, did you move out?" No punctuation. No follow-up. I stared at that message for a long time. I wanted to say something. Maybe give them a piece of my mind. Maybe drop one of those long, guilt-laced paragraphs that explains exactly how they failed me. But I didn't. Instead, I just replied with 2 words. I did. Nothing more. And I left it there like a stone on their doorstep. No explanation. No lecture. Just the truth. Bare, heavy, and impossible to twist. I think that was the moment it really hit me. They never saw me as a person who could break. Just a function. A routine. A grocery genie with a debit card and a quiet voice. The next day, one of them finally called. I watched the screen light up with Trevor's name. Let it ring. Let it stop. Then check the voicemail. "Yo man, just checking in. We were all wondering if you're good. Like, haven't seen you around. And the fridge is still, empty, so?" He trailed off, then chuckled awkwardly. Anyway, hit me back. I listened to it twice. Not because I needed to. I already knew what it was. But because hearing that fridge mentioned again, not as something they could do, but something I was still expected to handle, made everything inside me feel cold. They did not miss me. They missed what I gave. And I realized right then, I had trained them to expect it. I had made giving so seamless, so quiet, that they never saw the cost. But I saw it now. It was written across every empty shelf, every silent dinner, every forgotten thank you. It was written in the space where I used to be. And the more I looked back, the more I realized. I was not walking away from them. I was walking back to myself. I did not respond to Trevor's voicemail. I wanted to. Believe me, I had drafts in my head. Lines that would cut clean and deep. Truths I had held back for too long. But something in me had shifted. I was tired. Not just physically, not just from hunger or stress, but tired in the soul. So I said nothing. The next few days were quiet in a good way. The kind that does not feel like punishment. Just peace. I found a routine again, small things. Cooking for myself without worrying if someone else had eaten. Making just enough for one plate. Grocery shopping with a budget that felt like mine, not ours. It felt strange at first, like learning to walk without dragging someone behind you. Then I got a message from Jenna. She was not my roommate, but she came by often. Trevor's kind of girlfriend. The one who always complimented my cooking and helped herself to leftovers like we were family. Her message was short. Hey, everyone's kind of weirded out that you dipped. We miss your energy. My energy. Not me. My usefulness. My presence. The calm I brought to chaos. The order I kept in the kitchen. The groceries I stocked like a silent ritual. That was the moment it all clicked. They never thought about the cost of what I gave. Not once. Not when they swiped the last of the milk. Not when they used the eggs I bought to bake brownies and never offered me one. Not when I skipped meals so they wouldn't have to. They only noticed when I stopped. And even then, they did not miss me. They missed the service. It is funny how generosity becomes invisible when it is constant. It fades into the background, becomes part of the furniture. No one thanks the walls for holding up the roof. No one notices the floor until it gives way. That is what I had been. The floor. And now that I had stepped out, they were stumbling. But I was not interested in saving anyone anymore. Not out of spite, but because I finally understood something they never did. Giving is not supposed to feel like disappearing. And the second it does, it is no longer kindness. It is self-erasure. So I let the message sit there. No reply. No read receipt. Just silence. My kind this time. The kind that builds boundaries instead of burying them. And for once, it felt like enough. The fridge photo hit my inbox on Sunday. It was from Nick. Just a picture. Wide open door, nearly bare shelves, a few old condiments, and a sad-looking lime sitting in the corner. No caption. No explanation. Just that. I stared at it for a long time. A week ago, I would have rushed to fix it. Grabbed my list, my shoes, my card, and headed to the store like some kind of reflex. Would not have even thought about it. Just go, like it was my role. But now, I just sat back and exhaled. 2 hours later, another message followed. Yo, we're gonna hit Costco later. You wanna come? There it was. The olive branch, or at least, their version of one. I turned it over in my head. Not because I was tempted, but because I wanted to see it clearly. To really see what they were offering. Not an apology. Not an acknowledgement. Just participation. A way to get me back in the system. The same system that ran on my quiet giving, my unpaid labor, my unspoken emotional tab. They did not ask how I was. They did not say, we're sorry. They just wanted the fridge fixed again. And they had finally realized they could not, or would not, do it without me. I typed a reply, then deleted it. Started another. Deleted that too. I did not want to go, but I wanted to say something. Eventually, I settled on this. You had a full fridge for months. That was not magic. That was me. I did it because I cared. I stopped because I needed someone to care back. Nobody did. So I left. I hit send and locked the phone. No more waiting. No more hoping someone would get it. A few minutes passed. Then the typing bubble showed up. It blinked. Disappeared. Came back. Then nothing. That was all I needed to know. They still did not have the words. Because they had never bothered to learn them. And I realized I had spent so long trying to be valuable in ways that made me invisible. Quiet help. Silent care. No demands. No complaints. But now, I was learning to be loud in a new way. Not with noise, but with absence. 3 days after I sent that message, I got a knock at the door. It was Nick. I almost didn't answer. I stood there for a solid minute, staring at the handle, debating whether silence was the better message. But curiosity, or maybe closure, got the better of me. I opened it. He looked awkward. Hair messy, hoodie too big, like he had not slept much. He gave a sheepish half-smile and said, "Hey." I just nodded. No invitation. No welcome. He shifted his weight from foot to foot, then finally said it. "Dude." I did not realize we didn't realize. I raised an eyebrow, but stayed quiet. He went on. "I mean, I knew you bought stuff sometimes, but I thought it was just your thing. Like, you liked doing it." I let that hang there. You liked doing it. As if that erased the responsibility. As if joy justified their neglect. "I didn't keep track," I said. "I didn't expect payback. I just thought someone would notice." He nodded, slow, like it was only now hitting him. "We just got used to it, man. Like, we didn't mean to take it for granted." "But you did." He looked down. "Yeah." We stood in that silence. It was not hostile, but it was not warm, either. It was the kind you only find after a truth has landed and cracked something open. Then he said something I did not expect. We want to do better. We talked about it. Me, Trevor, even Jenna. We figured out a grocery rotation. We started splitting stuff up. I blinked. That caught me off guard. And we left the fridge empty on purpose this week. Just to feel it. That hit harder than I expected. It was small. Too late. But it was something. Then he reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out a folded receipt. Also, this is for the last couple months. Not everything, I know, but we wanted to at least try. I did not take it. Not because I was bitter, but because I did not need repayment. I needed recognition. And I think, for the first time, I actually got it. I'm not coming back, I said. But I appreciate you showing up. Nick nodded. Yeah, I figured. Then he looked at me, really looked at me, and said, you were the one holding it all together. We just never said it. He turned to leave. And as the door closed behind him, I felt it. Not revenge, not triumph, just release. I had not ruined anything. They had, and now they had to sit in it. Like I had, for far too long. It has been a month. The calls stopped. No more check-ins. No more half-hearted memes or fridge pics. I think they finally got it. This was not about food. It never was. It was about being seen, heard, valued. And when all of that vanished the second I stopped giving, I knew I had to leave. Funny thing is, I do not hate them. That would be easier. Hate gives you energy, purpose, a direction to throw your pain. But what I felt, what I still feel, was quieter. A slow, deep ache. Like a bruise you forgot about until something presses into it just right. I kept thinking generosity was this beautiful thing. A way to show love without needing anything back. But I was wrong. Generosity, when unnoticed, becomes expectation. And expectation, when unspoken, becomes entitlement. I had taught them how to rely on me. But I never taught them how to care for me. That part is on me. And now, I carry that lesson everywhere. When I shop for groceries now, I buy just enough. No extras. No silent service. Just what I need. It feels strange, but honest. I have started drawing clearer lines. With friends, with coworkers, even with family. Not out of bitterness, but protection. Of my energy. My time. My worth. Because here is the truth no one likes to say out loud. The people who love the things you do for them are not always the same people who love you. That is what hurts the most. It is not that they stopped caring. It is that they never started. They only cared when I was useful, when the fridge was full, when the meals were made, when the burden was carried quietly by someone else. But the moment I needed, gone. And that kind of silence does not scream. It whispers. You are only as valuable as what you give. But now I know better. I am not a fridge. I am not a paycheck. I am not a habit. I am a person. And I deserve to be fed, too.